Okay, so let's get right into it. I'll make a short video on how to solve that question, but that I gave concerning percentages. But there's some things I need to say. First, we need to be able to set it up in this nutshell I was talking about. Remember that nutshell? And I think I'm going to stop making this circle, but it was A, B, C. And I told you if you multiply these two together, because they're next to the bottom, that is going this way, you multiply B times C or A. I'm sorry, B times A or A times B, and you'll get C. And of course, it's C divided by A to get B, or C divided by B to get A. You just mentally in your mind, the one you want to figure out, you put your, sort of like finger over, and then well, that's the divide. If I put my finger over this guy, that means I need to multiply, right? Because I'm trying to find out C, and you mentally can do that. So with the percentages, this comes in handy. In other words, someone would ask two questions usually concerning percentages. Either they will say, what is 50% of, this is key, of 50, let's say, right? And that's obviously 25. Right? So this is a percentage, and these are just two numbers. What is a percentage? Percentage, well, we'll see. I asked the other question. So 50% of this, or they could say, the percentage of 100. What percentage of 100 is 25? And again, the answer will be 25, but it will be percent. See, there's two different questions. 50% of something, and then they're asking you to get a percentage with two numbers, right? The percent of 100 is 25, is. So if you can remember, in this case, of the ABC thing, you could put the percentage here. You put the of here, and you put the is here. Because percentage is a ratio, or a ratio of is to of. A percent is a ratio of is to of. It's a rational number. In other words, 50% of 100 is set up like this. And then that is what? 50% of 100 is equal to 50. That's how it's set up. This is 50% 100. This right here can be reduced. Remember we talked about reduction? If I divide this by 50 and this by 50, I get 1 over 2 times 100. And that's equal to 50. Right? So that's why I was saying that percentage, this percent, which is what this is the percentage of 100. It is a rational or ratio. That's what it is. And I was telling you, whenever you see this, because if you reduce this, you will see it. You're supposed to have in your mind. So 0.5 times 100 is also equal to 50. And that's what you have to turn this into when you put this in here. You should have either this form or this form. Either the 1/2 or the 0.5. And the 1/2 will end up being 0.5 if you put it in a calculator. But what you can't have is this. You can't have this. This doesn't mean anything. You could put it in a calculator, but this is not. You got to get this out of your mind. Stop using this. Stop using this. Stop using calculators. Just stop. Stop using calculators. Stop. Use pencil and paper. Use this for heavy jobs. Like after you get your job for tests and stuff, you're gonna need to know how to do things in your head. This is a crutch. If you're not using the tool right, this is a power tool. You're supposed to already know how to do these things without this. So stop using. And then this kind of stuff right here will start making more sense. You start using pencil and paper. And you have these computerized tests now. And you do still have some pencil and paper. But you have what they call CAT. And that's computer, something about it, suggesting adaptive, that's it, adaptive test. Computerized adaptive test. Which is what, a lot of these AS, VAP, is test, ASVAB, PICO, PCAT, I think it is, or something like that. I can't remember the names of all these tests, but no matter what the tests are, let me erase this. I didn't mean to put this on here. Whatever these tests are named, the last thing you need to have to deal with is math. You should have your math down pat, because you got a lot of other things to deal with. You got mathematical stuff, electrical stuff. You got all kind of other, word problems and things. So you don't need to be dealing with this. This stuff you got to get down pat. So on the particular test that I gave, I asked for an is type question. It was one of these. It was 3/4 is 1/8. All right. So how do you set this up? It was percent of 3/4 is of 1/8, and you can expect that on those tests. It will be one of these type of questions, and so this may seem like it's hard, but This is kind of stuff that they ask. I actually got it from looking online. So all I did was just put it on here for you to see. I didn't make it up myself. So where is the is part? You know, this is the number here, right? This is the result. It's the resulting number. I'm sorry. This is the resulting number. 1/8. So 1/8 goes right here. That's where the 1/8 goes. So 1/8 will be divided by the of. The is 1/8, is 1/8, is 1/8. When they have of, they'll also have of something, of some number, whatever that number might be. Then you use this. Percent of, you multiply to get the is. If they give you the is, then you divide the of to get the percent. And that's the way you do this. Is and of. So what we have is 1/8 divided by, right, division of this 3/4. And when you have fractions like this, you flip the denominator, always the denominator only. And then you multiply. Flipping is same thing as saying take the reciprocal. So rewriting this, let me rewrite it over here. 1/8 times 4/3. So you turn it from division to multiplication, which is much easier with fractions. And then you're just going to multiply these two and get an answer over here. But before I would multiply, I would start reducing the fraction. In other words, 1/8 and 4/3, we can do something like this. Divide, cross divide. And when you cross divide, it's the same thing as saying, let me put it over here. You can have 4/8 times 1/4. 1/3. It's the same thing. So you reduce this, and that can be divided by 4, and this can be divided by 4, right? So 4/8 times 1/3 can be rewritten again as 1/2 times 1/3. And then you just multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. Let me do it over here. 1/2 times 1/3. 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 times 3 is 6. Remember when I was saying memorize these type of things? So what is 1/6 equal to? You should be able to write 0.167, right? Because that 6 goes forever and you round it up and it'll be 167. Because it's really 0.1666666. And whatever you round the number up, depending on which number you want to round up, I could have rounded this one up because 666 goes forever. I could have made this 0.17. It just, I like to go one over because I want people to see what it was. And when you're rounding something up, You get rid of all those numbers that come after. Like, for example, if this would have been 1/3. 1/3 is equal to 0.333 forever, right? Remember, the bar over the 3 means it continues forever. Well, when I round it up, let's say I wanted to round to this place here. It depends on the numbers that's coming after. They're all 3s, right? Well, when you round up, it means this has to be 5 or greater. Since the number after this, which is I'm trying to round up to, is not 5 or greater, it's just 3, then I leave this just as it is. So this would be equal to 0.33 when I round to this place here. Whereas this one here, because it's 1/6, and it's equal to 0.1666666 forever. And if I wanted to round to this place, the number after is greater. You get rid of these numbers. You don't keep them. So I want to get rid of these numbers because the last number was 5 or greater. This gets rounded up and it becomes 7. And then you get rid of all these numbers. That's what rounding is. So the reason why I mention this is because you change this. Remember I was saying percentage. Think of it as dollars and cents. So this is 16 cents, right? Or percent. So this is 16.7%. That's what this is, 16.7%. So that's the answer to this question of 3/4 is of 1/8. Is 16.7% of 1/8. Hope that helps.